Hi, guys. Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Own Your Essence podcast. This is where we get to have deep transformational conversations with some of our favorite people. So, we are your hosts
Lee Walzat.
and April DeMille. And today we have a new fun guest. And I have to tell you, I don't know, Lee, but I am so fucking jealous of this lady's energy. Like, I want to say I'm inspired, but no, I'm just straight up fucking jealous. Like she has so much great energy and I wish she'd rub off on me or something.
She does. She is, I think I described her as a Glinda bubble, but as a person
Yes.
because she's bubbly and shiny and magical. So I mean that
She's,
in the best way.
yeah, for
Uh,
sure. She is a whole lot of fun. So if you want to introduce her and then we can bring her out, I think you guys will really like this lady.
yeah. So it is our pleasure to introduce today Mary Rose Granado, a wife to a very supportive husband, a mom to two sweet boys, and a fan of all things heart-centered, and a hype girl to anyone she meets, which is totally true. In
So true.
addition, she facilitates healing in the Akashic Records using different modalities such as Hawaiian Healing, Reiki, Mediumship, and sound bath. She loves helping people move energy through dance or healing. So we are so excited to introduce Mary Rose.
Yes. And also I'm gonna have to go dance with this lady.
Yeah.
She is coming. There she is. I love how Zoom has this nice delay.
Hi.
Hey!
Hey.
We were just telling everybody how amazing you are, and I was saying how I'm so jealous of all your freaking fun energy. I'm like, I wish she'd come rub on me or something.
I'll put it in a bottle and send it to you.
Yes,
Skip
yes.
it up.
Yep, that's how we'll market this.
Yeah, we'll market it like this. Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
I love
Yeah,
it.
I
yeah.
was I was saying to Mary Rose that I describe you like the person version of a Glinda bubble, Glinda from the Wizard of Oz, because bubbly, shiny, right? Magical. You're all those things.
Yes, it's like have you guys seen that oh gosh, what's that cartoon Pixar? I think it's Inside Out, where it's like all of the
Oh,
emotions.
so cute.
So I feel like I'm Joy.
Okay, yeah,
All
that
right.
makes
I've never
sense
seen
to
it,
me.
but I can see joy. I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I didn't see part one, but I took one of my nanny kids to see part two, and
Okay.
it was super adorable.
It's so cute. It's
Yeah.
so cute. Yeah. Part one, yeah, but anyway. Haha, joy in a bottle. I don't know.
Did you?
Gotta
So
be
we're
like the happiest household on the entire freaking planet, I swear.
Oh, well, only on good days. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for having me here. I'm so excited.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you.
Oh, thanks.
So, Mary Rose, you do a few different things that we just told the audience about. Hawaiian healing and helping people move energy through dance and also mediumship and all of that. So that's super wonderful. And I will actually say I have had a practice mediumship session with you at one point, which I would love to get into. Are you still practicing the mediumship right now? Is that something that you're actively doing?
Yes, yes, good question. Yes, I am actually. So when I have my sessions with friends, clients, I usually work within, and we'll talk about it later, like in the Akashic records. And then I do typically it goes like we open up the Akashic records of the person and then do energy healing and then mediumship. So just kind of see what comes up and any messages that they receive that day or whatever they need to receive that day is like I just kind of convey that. But I do, yes, practice mediumship. I'm also working on my psychic abilities. So but yes, I still do I do
You do too.
mediumship.
Yes, you
That's
do.
amazing. That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
like a three-pronged approach too, the Akashic Records and the mediumship. And so
Mhm.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm happy to hear that you're still doing that though, because I know that when we sat down for a practice session, there were some really impactful things that came up for me, that through you as the channel. So I love that you're still expanding with that and doing that. For anyone who might not be familiar too, can you explain what the Akashic Records are?
Yeah, so Akashic Records is pretty much your spiritual library or your cosmic library. It stores everything that happened in your life, or once your soul first sparked, that's where like everything is stored. So anything that happened in your life in your past lives, this current lifetime, or future. But the future will change because of our free will. But it pretty much it's like a library. It records. It has everything
Would
that.
you would you say that it's very similar to like cell memory of our light bodies?
Yes, I would agree to that. Yes.
Okay.
And then we can access that, and then it's pretty much guided, protected by, higher beings. So we also connect with our guides, our spirit guides, our soul team, and whoever wants to come and join during the sessions, we call upon them to join us in our session. Yeah. And then it just kind of brings back like what needs to come forward and what needs to get they give attention to, and then give healing and all that good stuff. Mhm.
So it's like the Akashic Records being like a record hall, and you can kind of tap a spiritual record hall that you can tap into, and then you can take from that to help people heal or move through different energies, whether
Yes.
in the present or I don't know, do past lives ever come up with things like that?
Yes, past lives. And then when I do Hawaiian healing, which is another modality that I do in the Akash, it just becomes even more um what's the word? Like it just becomes even more like gives you a deeper results, a bigger results, deeper meaning, because you're accessing your library and then going deep into like that event in your life, whether it's past life or whatever. And then we go through the negative energy, negative emotions, and limiting beliefs, and then so we go and tackle that also. So it's yeah, pretty much your library, and you can tap into it, and you get all the good stuff.
So how does Hawaiian healing differ from the other modalities that you do? What can you expand on what that is, Hawaiian healing?
Yes, so Hawaiian healing is another modality, and it's pretty much we go and I'm the protection. I'm kind of like the what's like a practitioner, and like the one that guides you and takes you to an event. So it's pretty much like a timeline, and I'll take you like you're in the present, and then we'll go back to whatever the event that
That
your
sounds a
spirit
lot like hypnotherapy.
Mhm.
almost.
Okay. Okay.
So it's just like let's say April, you're my client today, and you come in and say, um, oh, I have anger that I want to deal with today.
Oh,
And
I
then
actually do. So that's good. It's a great example.
um but like your spirit's telling me, you know what? It's more guilt. So
Okay.
let's focus on guilt. So then So then we go and take you to an event where that guilt where your spirit remembers it happening, and it kind of carries over to this lifetime. So
Hmm.
then we'll go back to that event, and and go back to that event, and then you just kind of replace it with the positive emotion, and it's like a step. Like I take you to there's like steps to get to it, but it's pretty much going to that event and taking care of that guilt, that negative emotion, and bringing back positive emotions to that, so that in the future, if a situation like that were to occur it doesn't affect you as deeply.
Right,
It
because
does.
there's more acceptance as opposed to,
Yes.
yeah,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like almost like energetic reprocessing. You know how in therapy
Yeah.
sometimes they do reprocessing techniques and things? It sounds like
Mhm.
this is similar
Yes. So like,
in
so
some
for
way, but on
example,
a energetic level.
yes. So like for example, I'm just gonna, if I may, share my story on this so that it just kind of gives a little bit more of a clear example. So I got Hawaiian Healing done through a friend, and I came in and I said, "Oh yeah, I've got anger. Let's take care of anger. Let's do this." And she's like, "Actually, no, your spirit's telling me it's guilt." And so I'm like, I don't know. What am I like guilty about? Like, I don't know. Something I did a long time ago. Anyway, I was confused. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Spirit's telling you guilt, let's do it. So then I did it. And then she took me to an event where I was in my mom's belly. And which was so bizarre because like you would think a fetus wouldn't remember, you know? But then it took me to a time where like so my parents got married when they were young. And so when they were married, like at that time, my dad was still like partying and doing all the young guy stuff. And so he'd come home, coming from a party, wasted and stuff. And then my mom is left with my sister and then pregnant with me. And so I think from what I felt was that my mom was feeling um resentment of like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have a baby, maybe I shouldn't be pregnant, maybe, just resentment because of like life choices, right? Because my dad was doing all the party stuff. And then my mom's left with my sister and me, well, in her belly, and she's pregnant and all that stuff. So of course it's natural to have those worries and thinking I shouldn't be pregnant. Maybe I shouldn't have been married. It's just resentments. And so, but then I felt that. I felt that within me as a fetus. I felt like maybe I shouldn't be born. So then I had that guilt within me that like I shouldn't be born. I shouldn't be here because my mom's feeling this way. So whatever she felt, whatever resentment she was feeling and anger and all the frustrations, I was feeling it and I was feeling guilty that I was gonna make her life harder. And so we worked through that, put positive emotions to replace that. And then I came out of it feeling, I was like crying because like how would I know that, right? Um, but I came out of that crying, but then also I felt joy and love and more compassion towards my mom because she was just doing the best that she could at that time. And they were young, right? My dad is awesome. Like my dad is he's so sweet. Like they were just young. And so like me having to experience that, like I just kind of I give my mom a little bit more grace, being like how young she was and I don't feel that guilt anymore. So that's kind of like the gist of it. Like you're going back to an event in your life where it needed to things that like negative emotions needed to be addressed so that in the future you don't have to carry that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's heavy
Yeah.
stuff to carry. That's
Hmm.
the ancestral stuff. I actually did a session very similar, just like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Hmm.
Um, and I had also gone back to the womb, and my mom was 16 and she was
Mm.
in foster care. So she
Oh,
was already without home and
yeah.
abandoned and all the things. And so she had gotten with my dad just to escape foster care.
Hmm.
And so I was her getting pregnant with me and married to him was her way out of it, but she despised that she had to do that because she didn't really want that. So I was always feeling the resentment because she didn't actually want me. She didn't actually want those things, and so it's a heavy it's a heavy burden to bear as a
Mhm.
little baby that absorbs all that.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very heavy. And when I did that session, I really didn't think like guilt where I don't know. I'm like, did I steal something when I was like different type of guilt, right?
Right.
And then knowing that I felt that while I was still a fetus in the womb, it's kind of
Yeah.
yeah. So it was interesting. And then I've done a few sessions with people, and the and the good thing about this is that they don't have to tell me what happened. Like, because I know some people they're unsure about getting energy work because they just A, they don't know, right? And B, they're just like they don't want to share too much information. So the good thing about this one is that they don't have to tell me their story. I'm just guiding them to that event. If they feel free to share their stories with me, that's awesome. And but some of the stories that they share with me is just like, wow. Because some of them, the events took them to their past lives, which was so interesting. And it was so vivid for them, and like they could feel it, they could see it, they could feel it. It's as if like it just happened yesterday. But it's just really interesting. It's a really cool modality. Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. I want to circle back to when you said, it seems strange that a fetus might remember, certain, and I would be curious too if it was partly a soul memory as well, because I know for me in mediumship, I have, babies that have never made it here into the physical worlds come through, and I get that question a lot, like, well, how are you communicating with? And my answer is always, well, because there's the soul, and the soul is ageless and limitless, and so I'd be curious if that's a piece of it too, that we can tap into that soul part and remember what we were feeling in the physical, in the womb at that time. Does that make sense?
Almost like a
Yes.
fragment of that soul's expression during that moment.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, energy, spirit work, they're all connected, right? So like we can just tap into like what happened and then like the memory, right? So it just kind of brings forward all that stuff. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So to shift gears for a second, this always fascinates me about you, but you work in engineering, correct?
I
Yeah.
do. I work for an engineering firm, and our team specialize in train tracks. So it's
Okay.
someone brought it up and I don't remember who it was, but I was talking to a client, I told them about like, what I do in my profession. And it's just like I bring people from one point to the next, which is also the same as what I do in the spiritual aspect of things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just so interesting. I'm like, okay. But yeah, I work for an engineering firm and we specialize in train tracks. That's my full-time job.
So I find it so interesting though, because I feel like, and April might agree with this too, but engineering is very what I would maybe call left-brained, very
So
pragmatic.
left-brained. Yeah.
Yeah, very analytical, very, logical. And then you have this whole other, facet to you and in your life that where you're doing the healing work and the Akashic records and all of that. So I'm curious how I guess I'm curious about two things, like how those things intersect for you, if they ever do intersect, and how you went from, because was it engineering first and then you got into the healing? Yeah, so I would be
Yeah.
curious, like how
Yeah.
how
Like how
that
those,
transition
yeah,
happened.
how those worlds blended. Yeah. Where'd that happen at?
It's interesting, right? So left brain. I do feel like I'm more right brain. I'm very like artistic and expressive. And so like the engineering part is so analytical and whatever. I make things pretty, if that makes sense. So like I put things together. I'm not an engineer, I'm a drafter. So like I put things on paper and then I put things together so that when we submit
Okay.
it to a client, it looks pretty-ish. Um, but they don't really intersect in a way that we think. No, yeah, they just don't intersect at all. Um only yeah, I they don't really intersect except for the analogy part of like connecting people from one place to the next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like it's just interesting because I mean I guess let's me go back and talk about like my history and how I got here. So I mean, I was already working for that engineering firm. I'm old, actually almost 19 years this year that I'll be with the company. But I've been
Wow.
with it for a long time. And but my background, history wise, religion wise, I grew up as Catholic. So I have that foundation of Jesus, Mary, angels, and all that stuff. And I actually like appreciate that because it gave me that foundation, of like having the belief that something is bigger and greater than me, than us, right? So to me, God, universe, whatever, I believe in that. I believe in Jesus, I believe in Mother Mary, I believe in angels and all the good stuff. So that gave me the foundation. But let me see, maybe I would say almost 8 years ago that I had like, actually, even before that, I felt like I was being nudged, like, hey, there's more to it than this. There's more to it than this. But then I was fighting it because growing up as a Catholic is like, don't do that. You're
Yeah.
gonna go to hell.
Everything's a sin.
Yeah, everything is a sin. You're gonna go to
Hmm.
hell. That's like you shouldn't be um thinking outside the box. But then the nudges were
Like
getting
to
so
say that
strong.
angels are not already outside of that box, but whatever.
Right. Yeah. So it was, but the nudges were getting so louder and stronger. And so I said, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna say yes. And so I said yes. And then it started when a massage therapist told me that she has a medium friend and that I should see her because she's amazing. And I'm like, okay. But for the longest time, it took me a whole year to see her because I was afraid. And then when I did, that's when it opened up for me. Um, of course, she did the mediumship stuff, brought in my grandparents, which was awesome because I didn't know things about my grandma specifically, but which made sense when when we connected, and it just blew my mind. But also halfway through she said, but you're not the medium. She said, I don't really think you're here for mediumship. I think you're here for spirituality. And I'm like, how did you know? Well, duh. She's a psychic and she's a medium, duh. But and then she told me, and then she opened me up. So she opened me up, cut some cords, opened me up for to get like messages and all the things. So and that's how it started. She said, you're gonna get a lot of information, a lot of downloads. Don't be afraid. It's part of the journey, pretty much. And so yes, and then I said yes to that, and then ever since then, it like an opportunity would or just an idea would come into my field, and then I would say yes to it, and then it would take me to another piece and all that stuff. So when I first said to that, that's when I started taking healing touch, and that's where I met Laura West because we took healing touch class certification together, and that's how we became friends. Like we just connected instantly. And because I said yes to that opportunity brought Laura West to me and energy healing. And then because I said yes to that, it took me to another place. And then because I said yes to this, it took me to another place. So that's just kind of how it went. And just by saying yes to things that are coming into my field, and yeah, and then now I'm here talking to you guys.
And here we
We love it.
are.
And
But you
here
know
we are.
what? I think we both, Lee and I were discussing this. Was it last night? It might have been last night or today, but I did not know because I had actually brought it up to him. I was like, I had a session with Mary Rose one time. And it was like a practice session. He was like, you know what? I did too. And so I think we should totally talk about those sessions because
Yeah.
they were pretty, I mean, his was a different experience than mine, but like we both got a chance to sit down with you in that process while you were like practicing and doing practice sessions. And we both had experiences with you that were really neat.
Yay.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember both of your guys' sessions and it was pretty special. So yeah, let's talk about that.
would love to talk about our sessions with you. Um, I want to bring up too, just because it parallels what we're talking about, but how you said you went to the psychic and she said you weren't really here for mediumship, and I find that interesting whenever psychics or mediums or readers kind of put out a very solidified idea like that, because I think, it's always
Like an
going through
end all
our
be
own.
all.
Right.
Yeah.
Because in no judgment, but it's always going through our own filters.
Mhm.
My filters are mine and someone else has different filters. And whenever we're reading, it all the information channels through that.
Mhm.
Um, so I'd be curious, too, like where it sits with you now, where it sits in your heart about the mediumship thing, because maybe even at the time she was picking up an energy that was most present in that moment,
Mhm.
of like, well, maybe she's a bit more here for the spirituality and less for the mediumship. But I'd be curious where it sits with you now, how it resonates with you now. And then, yeah, I'd love to talk about me and April's sessions with you as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, how it sits with me, I mean, I feel like it happening then, I felt like it needed to happen the way it did
Mhm.
because it just kind of like opened my mind even more because like at first I was like, how did she know that? And I'm like, well, yeah.
And
And then
without overwhelming you, maybe.
yeah. And then because I was kind of already being nudged and I was feeling lost at that time because I just didn't know where to start. With all the nudges that I was getting, I just didn't know where to start. And I guess when she told me in the way that she did tell me, it's like, well, yes,
Hmm.
that is where I want to go. Because I felt like I was in that box, like the religion box, and it's like, but I want to get out. It's not
Mhm.
that bad. It's
Mhm.
all good things. I want to get out. And so, um, the way that it happened and the way it was brought up to me, I felt like that needed to happen to just give me more like a push to let's move forward with this. And then how I feel about it now, yeah, that's how I feel like. But if I were to have a session and that came forward to me, I wouldn't be like, you were here for this. Although, just last month, I think it was, I had a sound bowl, Reiki sound bath session. My friend did the sound bath portion, and I did the Reiki. And then one of the ladies, while I was doing Reiki on her, her spirit or her team said she is ready for the spiritual journey. And then I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then at the end of the session, she came up to me. It's like, did something come forward? And I was like, well, your spirit was saying that you're good and you're actually ready for the spiritual journey, is what I heard. And it was clear in my mind. And so she's like, well, that's interesting because, and then she started telling me her story. So I guess, yeah, I mean, maybe she felt that then, or maybe she did get a message from my team, or maybe she just felt it energetically from me. But I do appreciate that it happened that way because I think it just kind of helped me push to this direction because I just did it. I was so lost. I didn't know who to talk to. And so, yeah.
It happened the way you needed it at that
Yeah,
exact
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
for sure.
And I can
So,
understand that too. I feel like in that moment it was the most probable um place you were presently,
Mhm.
and that's got to be the most dominating factor in what she brought forward. So
Yes. Yeah. Mhm.
so
Did I
speaking
answer
of,
your question?
yeah, yeah, no, that
Okay.
was great. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
But speaking of things coming through, I would love to touch on what April was saying about our sessions and talk about you in that way for a moment. So when I sat down with you, you said you do remember, but I had a cousin of mine come forward. And what was so interesting about this for me is that, so in my own work too, if anyone follows me or knows me or anything like that, you'll probably know I really like evidence, what I call the evidential piece of mediumship. Um, and so, what was so interesting about this for me was that what came through in our session, you brought through things that I wasn't even aware of about my cousin. And, you had said something about her really loving to read, and she really liked Harry Potter, or something, a significance around Harry Potter. And I certainly cared about my cousin. We weren't, I mean, I'll say it to be transparent, we weren't that close, and I think life kind of just got in the way, and all, so there were multiple things that and probably still are, that I would not be aware of, with her. So that was one of those things. And I remember telling you, well, I'm not sure, and I specifically remember when we got off the session, I actually felt her come in for me. And I was like, oh, there you are, and she gave me the direction, the little nudge to go on her Facebook that they still have up, and, search Harry Potter. And one of so it turns out she loved Harry Potter. Like, that was a big significance. And one of the first posts that popped up was she was using a Harry Potter quote in conjunction with talking about the idea that everything is connected and that everything comes back to each other and we're all connected. So I thought that was such an impactful thing, not even having known. And then you bring it forward, which I think is not only a great example of really solid evidence, but also like such a great message from spirit too, in the way that it unfolded. So yeah, that was a really significant moment. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. That was fun. Thank you for
Yeah.
saying yes to me, by the way.
What's that?
I said thank you for saying yes to me, by the way, to be my guinea
Oh
pig.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that
And I
was
know April also had an experience with you, so
Yeah, I know that I had never met you before we had sat down together on a video on Zoom. I'd never met you. We'd never had contact. I just randomly happened to see a post in Laura West group because you and she were friends. And you were like, I need to do practice sessions. And I was like, cool. I don't even know you. This would be fun. Right. So like I responded and I was like, I will totally sit with you. And so our first meeting was the session. And we got on there and we're on camera and you could not see anything about my tattoos or anything at the time. And that's the first time we'd ever seen face to face. And I can't remember all the things because it's been a couple years, but I remember that there was something that we were talking about, and you were like, I keep seeing the arrow and I keep seeing the eagle. And you kept saying these things, and I was like, well, so I held up my tattoos and I was like, here's the eagle and the arrow, and here's the other arrow. And you were like, what the like, and I was like, this is why you're seeing these things. And let me tell you the relevance of why these things are coming through. And then I think a little while later, we were talking about some of the food issues I was having. And you're like, I keep seeing like fruit, like bowls of fruit. And I was like, well, I am vegan right now. I was practicing for 3 years. I did the vegan thing. And so all I was doing was like fruits and vegetables. And you were like, oh, okay, that's why I keep seeing, like, it made sense. So it was like things that you definitely wouldn't have known about me because we'd never even met until that day. And so to me, that was pretty evidential as well.
Mhm. That was fun because I was new. I was just new to this whole thing. Just following up like the yeses,
Mhm.
and I didn't know what to expect. So like seeing the things that I was seeing while I was having sessions with you, it was like, whoa, that's cool. Really, because it was everything. Everything was so new. And that's
Yeah.
the same with you, Lee, because when I was practicing mediumship. I didn't know what to expect either because I was new to it. So like being able to bring up evidence and things like that, it was kind of like, wow, this is so cool because I just didn't have a clue. I'm just gonna do it because this is where like things are coming forward to me and like I just gotta follow and say yes. And
But
so
I
yeah,
love that you did that too, because it honors the fact that when you are learning to open up to your abilities and you're learning all your reference systems, you do just have to call out what you see, what you hear, what you feel, even if it doesn't make sense to you at all. There is a reason why
yeah,
those messages are coming through, and you got to grab them. You just got to grab them.
yes,
You just got to
for sure.
trust it and grab it.
Yes, because like with me now with like it's sometimes I feel like when I have my sessions, like, oh, should I be saying that? I don't want to hurt their feelings, but they're coming forward because they need to
Mhm.
be said. they
Yeah.
needed to be revealed, right? So then I always have to remind myself, don't judge it. It's not up to you to
Right.
judge it. They're supposed to hear the
That's
messages.
that's
Yeah.
exactly when people get in their way, is when they make it about them instead of about the sitter, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, I don't want to say this. It might, okay, you just made the whole session about you instead of the person sitting in front of you.
Yeah. Hmm.
And you got to get out of the way, right?
Yes,
So
for
those
sure.
are the filters we do have to work through as humans, unfortunately, but like
Yeah.
it's definitely a practice. Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, for sure, for sure. Because I struggle with that all the time. And I always have to remind myself, like, this isn't about you. This is about
Hmm.
the message that you asked. They came to you for help. And
Yep.
the spirits are telling you all these things and you're not sharing it. So
I've,
then,
oh,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, 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 go ahead. No, I was
I
just gonna
was
say,
going to say I had a similar experience where, um, we've all had to learn how to get out of our way in those sessions because we are that channel and that filter. And I had a situation where someone was, there was physical abuse in the home, and I could see it, and it wasn't being said, but I also was like, I don't know that I want to say this, but I kept getting like pushed. Fucking say it, bitch. I'm like,
say it.
okay, so fine. So
Yeah.
I finally did. And I was like, look, here's what I'm seeing. And the person that was sitting with me was like, uh-huh. Yes, that's absolutely going on, and we know that we need to address this problem. So it did need to be brought up, and there was things that I felt were released because I brought it up, but like
Mhm.
it was scary territory for me because that can be embarrassing information to have out there, and sometimes maybe not even safe information
Yes.
to have out
Hmm.
there. And
Yeah.
and so in that moment though, I was in the way going, "Oh, I don't think I should." And I'm getting like the do it right
Yeah.
now. Like, "Oh my God, okay."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I can totally relate to that whole story. Like absolutely.
Yeah, and it's and then once you actually do say it and the feedback that you get, it's
Yeah,
just, well, okay, I'm glad that I did because then you're able to receive that and process that and heal from that, right? So it's very like I'm glad I did it, you know.
yeah.
And then it just kind of reminds you like, yeah, duh, you shouldn't be doing that to begin with. So
Right.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
I I'd I'd add to that. I totally agree with all of that because there's so many times that even still sometimes where I find myself in my own way. But the thing that I always try to fall back on as well is this going to be hurtful or helpful in some way? And even if it is, I think something that feels a little maybe rough around the edges where it's like, oh, I don't know. I think there's always something too to be said about delivery and the way that we're delivering that. Because, even with our last guest that we just had on, we were talking about how there's really no overhead or oversight when it comes to being a psychic medium or anything like that. Like if you're a
Yeah,
therapist, like you have all these kind of guidelines and guardrails sort of in place. And, a lot of these modalities don't have anything like that. It can
right.
just be anyone saying like, I'm a psychic medium. This is my title. So I
Yeah,
think it's
integrity's kind of up in the air sometimes with
right.
people in our field.
And I think there's obviously, and I would imagine that you would agree with this, Mary Rose, just knowing you. But I would I would say that there's a responsibility that also comes with what we are saying to people.
Mhm.
Yes.
Because we definitely have this huge capacity to shift somebody's life.
Hmm.
Hopefully for the more positive, right?
Yes, for sure.
I
And no, I was just gonna say like the delivery for sure. It's like that's the most important thing, right? Like you have to deliver it with so much compassion and just love, right? Because this some of the information that's coming forward is so heartbreaking,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
you want to deliver it with so much like gentleness and kindness. So you can't just say, "Oh, blah 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 blah," right? And it's like, it's so jarring, right? But then like if you're coming with this in the space of like I'm gonna help this person and it's out of love and give it compassion and kindness, then like the delivery is so important. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
And I think you
that's
do. Oh, go ahead.
I
Yeah.
think that's I had an experience actually. I've talked to Lee about this, but I had an experience with a celebrity psychic. So one of the big gurus on TV, lots of money, lots of history in the psychic medium world. And I had, I want to say it was two or three sessions with that person. And I had found that they were actually rather disappointing because what I had discovered was the messages I had been receiving were very end all be all. So the messages were delivered in such a fear-based way that I knew for a fact, I was like, I will never visit that person again. And I will never send that person business because lucky for me, I know that those fear-based things are not good for us and they can be more damaging for us. But not everybody knows that. And this person is seeing probably millions of people, right? Hundreds and thousands of people every year. And I'm like, and they're all walking away with an experience like that. And it broke my fucking heart. Because I was like, that is not integrity. I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck what your label is, what your status is, what celebrity you are. Fuck you. If you're doing that to people, that's not right.
No. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you want them to come out of that experience feeling. Because really, spirits is like, they all come in the space of love, right?
Right.
I feel like all spirits, they're here to guide us. They're here to to tell us like we're gonna be okay, like support, guidance, messages, whatever. The core essence of it is like they love us, right? They love, it's out of love. So when they come out of that feeling fearful, like then
Yeah.
that's
Well, and when people go to you, they don't go to you most of the time because things are fucking great and rainbows and cupcakes. They go to you because they're grieving. They're
yeah.
in pain, they're suffering, they've gone through traumatic life shifts, and they're looking for guidance. They're looking sometimes to connect with a deceased loved one. They're looking, this is heavy work,
Mhm.
right? And so whatever it is that they're coming to you for, they're already distraught when they get there.
Mhm.
And so for you to send them off feeling worse about that situation, there's something off there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, luckily, mediums that I have seen, there's not a lot, but like handful of mediums that I have seen have been so great.
Yeah.
And they did tell me to work, like the integrity is really important. So
Yeah,
that's
I
yeah.
agree. Well, and
But
like the one that I saw, the celebrity psychic that I saw, I will say that there's some talent there for sure.
Hmm.
Um, but I would say overall, it was not an experience I'd do again.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say too that I think Mary Rose, you just naturally have that integrity. Like you're one of
Um,
those people that just naturally delivers things in a very kind, compassionate way. So um, none of that, is directed towards you at all.
oh
Like
yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
God,
yeah,
no.
yeah. For sure, for sure.
you
Yeah.
are, I think you're just that person, right? That's in your energy. You're very empathetic towards people. You're very like, in tune to how you're saying things and all of that. And I think that's part of what makes you a really good healer, and a really great healer is that you are, empowering people, right? Like in,
Uh,
telling people like use your discernment about, do I fit for you? Do I not fit for you? It's all okay. I think that's really the mark of a great healer is when they're helping you just tap into what you already know. You just might need some help remembering or bringing to the surface or moving through.
mhm.
And I feel like that's, what you do.
Right. And really, the whole purpose, in my opinion, what I feel, the whole purpose of this healing and helping people heal is like, is that because we're all just vessels, right? We're vessels of the source. That we're being used as a vessel of light to channel through love from the source. And so, however, so we have to represent ourselves in a way that we're like a clear vessel and really so that the message and the love and the healing will come as clear as possible, as light as possible, as bright as possible, as loving as possible, right? So I feel like, I mean, we're all vessels, but like with the things that we do with the spiritual journey and spiritual healing that we do to help others, it's really important to be that clear vessel and to be
Yeah.
loving and stuff. Because if it's like not as clear, not as bright, then you're not sending the message that they're supposed to receive like as clearly. I don't
Sure.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. Um, I'd be curious too for a minute to revert back to something you mentioned earlier, if that's okay.
Yeah.
But about you had an experience with religion and Catholicism, I think you said, correct? Um, and and it sounds like these weren't your words, but it sounds like there might have been uh, some feelings of limitation there, when you were within that. And this is not to say that people who uh, have any sort of religious beliefs are wrong or anything like. I know people who have beautiful relationships with religion, but I'm curious what you might offer to somebody, having been in the position you've been in, what you might offer to someone who is in that starting place that you were, kind of afraid to really, explore because I've been told maybe some of the stuff isn't, of God or isn't, whatever it is. And again, if someone has that belief, I can honor that. But speaking to somebody who's maybe a bit more curious, who has a little bit of the nudge, and it's like, I want to kind of dip my toe in, but I don't know. So I'd be curious, yeah, what you might have to offer somebody in that regard.
Oh, that's really great. Um, I mean, it's gonna be hard, especially since it's something that you know and learn, and it's been like in you since you were born.
Like
Um,
conditioned and
Conditioned, yeah. And
yeah.
then, I mean, I didn't have my awakening until I was in my mid 30s. So getting out of that, I mean, to be honest, I'm still struggling sometimes, especially family members are very devout and in their mind, I'm gonna go to hell, right? But like I know better and I my relationship with God, with the universe, with the source is my own relationship. And that's kind of like the one thing that you have to remember is that your relationship with God, the source, the universe is your own. No one else can dictate that. Like even let's say a mom with like three kids, your relationship with each kid is different, right? Like it's not all the same. You can say that you treat them and love them the same way, but your relationship is different with each kid. So it's kind of the same way, right? Like my relationship with God is different from God's relationship with this other person next to me. You know what I mean? So you just have to remember that your relationship with God the source is unique. It's your own. And no one else can say otherwise, right? And then just to know that it's safe because you're operating in love. You're not operating in like you're gonna do malice. You're gonna harm people. That is not where you're gonna operate knowing that you're coming in the space of love and like coming from the heart and your heart is connected with the source, you're safe. There's not like there really shouldn't be anything to be afraid of. You're not going to hell. You're not a bad person. You're not because really if it's really the core essence of each religion is love, right? So like it doesn't matter whether whatever religion that may be. For me speaking through experiences like Catholic, um it's if I'm going to come from the space of love and not from darkness, then I'm going to be okay. Then I'm going to be safe. And I'm not doing anything bad. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not hurting myself and I'm not ruining my relationship with God or I'm also not worshiping the devil. You know, it's not that. If you know that you're operating in goodness and love and light and all that stuff, then you're okay. So that and those two are really important. Your relationship with God is your own, and no one else can say otherwise. And just know that if you're gonna if that you're operating in light and not to hurt people. So go for it. And really, being in a religion, I feel like it's in the box, and there's spirituality is big. It's there's so much more to explore instead of just being in that box. So much more to explore, and it's so beautiful because you get to experience all these amazing things that you wouldn't experience being in that box. You
And
know?
I will add to, and that's a beautiful answer, by the way.
Thank you.
Um, but I will add to, I think sometimes people need the experience of being in the box at that specific time. Kind of like you were saying earlier, like I needed to hear it in this way
Mhm.
from this woman at this time. So I think the box does represent something in that sense for people.
Mhm.
I do always find it interesting, I'll say, that when people have very fear-based beliefs, and especially where they kind of halts everything and there's no exploration of that fear-based belief. I always find that very interesting because for me, I'm always like, well, let me explore why this might sit with me. But I will say, I've even had experiences with mediumship in spirit giving me the messages of not everyone is ready to receive this information in a way that they can then take it back and integrate it into their lives. Like it's not going to work for them at this time. So that's why they're so resistant to any of this. And that's where I come in and I just say, I honor whatever your experience and your journey is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I will add that piece that sometimes I think that box is necessary in certain periods of moments of people's lives.
Mhm.
But I absolutely agree that once we kind of explore a little bit more and maybe step out of that a little bit and see what's possible, there are so many opportunities and amazing things that can happen. So yeah, beautiful answer though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know, I tell some friends, some family members, this is what I do, and I love doing it. You know, I mean, they like support me. They don't say anything badly about me or like you're going to hell. But then it's coming out of like fear, right? Like be careful, you don't want to, you're channeling la la la, be careful. So it's like fear-based. But they also don't stop me because they know like we have that respect with each other, you know. And like being in that box is like for some people it's their security, right? Like because that's all they know. And they feel
Mhm.
safe in that box, which is fine. But if they're getting nudges and they're ready and they're questioning like what else is out there, I say go for it. If
Yeah.
especially if you know that you're operating out of love. So
Beautiful. Yeah. Did you have anything you wanted to add, April? Or?
No, I mean, the only thing that came up for me is I have a lot of Mormon family. And again, those beliefs are very fear-based. I also have family that's like Southern Baptist or was brought up Southern Baptist. And and as much as I can appreciate that those all served a very important role in my conditioning, in my upbringing, and there was a time that again that comfort, that box, that even that seeking, just seeking, um, was was very impactful. But my soul was already in a place that I moved through it very quickly, because I was like, oh, I've done this before. Let me get through this, check off the boxes, and keep going. But that's not the same for everybody. Some people will stay in that place and for as long as it takes until they're ready. And we
mhm.
don't get to dictate what that journey looks like for them or how long it's going to take. We go,
Yeah.
okay, I see where you're at. Peace, love, all the things, do your thing, like that's okay. But
Yeah.
I have actually experienced people. I mean, I've been called it all. I've been called the Grim Reaper. I've been called the devil. I've been called all the things. And I'm like, hey, whatever floats your boat, dude. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like whatever you got to tell yourself, whatever story you have to make up about me to make you feel better about yourself, have fun with that. I'll be
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah. I'll
So
be over here doing
I'll
the
be over
thing.
here doing my thing, but you have fun with that. So get creative. I want to hear about it. Tell me all the cool
Yeah.
things I do.
And
So
the thing is like, some people probably see me like, oh, she's gonna go to hell because but really like I just have to remember that I do me. Like
yeah.
I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna be like I'm gonna treat you would love how like I would treat other people, and I'm gonna respect you and be as joyful as I can, because like this is me.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing to hide. Like you'll know that I'm always operating in my heart, like heart centered.
Yeah.
I'm operating like this all the time with light, and like I'm not gonna make your life miserable. Unless
Yeah.
you're like threatening me and like you're gonna shoot me or whatever. But like then it's different story. But like on the daily, that is just how I operate. So like if it would be hard for them to be like, she's the devil, she's gonna go to hell. You know what I mean? Because like
You'd
I
think, but I've been told that too. I mean, I've heard it all, but I will say that, and I've told this to other people as well. Um, the only hell that's real is the one I'm living. So just food for
yes,
thought. That's the
yes,
closest hell any of us will ever get is the
for sure.
dense 3D reality we're in right now. That's
It's
it.
so hard.
Yeah,
It's so hard.
that's
Um,
it.
yeah, for sure. And like really like, and you know whatever they think about me is on them, because they're missing out, right?
Right.
They're missing out. They're
Yeah.
missing. So
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I would agree with that because you are super fun. So if they don't
Oh.
get to have you, we get to keep you all to ourselves, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah. More Mary Rose for everyone.
For
So
Yay.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So this has been fun. Any other questions?
No, I think we're gonna say bye here. If we're all good, Lee, you good?
yeah, I think we're good. I think we covered a lot of good stuff.
Oh,
Okay.
awesome. I'm so excited for you guys doing this amazing thing. It's so fun. You guys are so fun. Like I believe in everything that you do, Lee. Like every time I go on your live, it's so good. Like I'm just like soaking everything up. It's like, Lee's so good. Lee's so
He's great.
good.
Lee
Thank
is
you.
wonderful. I agree. He's got
And
a
like
good.
you so like you have that smile on you all the time. You're so joyful. Like there's something about you when I watch you online. I'm like, you know. And April is so awesome. Like you're kick-ass, April. Like I love your
Aw.
energy. You're like you're just you're straight. You know what I mean? Like you just say it how it is. You're just you're awesome. Both of you are
Thank
awesome.
you.
So excited to where this will lead you. And I'm so thankful that you guys to have me here. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm
Thank
glad we
you.
got to have, we were excited too. We were like, oh, yes, this girl and all her freaking fun energy. This is going to be great.
And real quick, Mary Rose, where can people find you if they
Oh,
want
where
to?
can people find me? Well, I'm working on a website. So
Awesome.
Okay.
so stay tuned for that.
Okay.
But I mean Facebook, oh gosh. I
We'll
forget.
attach all the
Yes,
links too.
please. Thank
So
you. And
yeah.
then on Instagram, although I'm not posting as much, but like email me if they need to see me for whatever, if they want to try Hawaiian Healing or Akashic Records or like, all the things, come see me, the email I think I shared with you. And yeah, that's about
Okay.
it. Hmm.
Okay.
Amazing.
Well, thank you for being with us. I'm going to thank our listeners and viewers that we don't quite have yet because we haven't launched, but we will. And please email us at ownyouressence podcast@gmail.com if you have any questions, suggestions, all the things. We would love to
I
hear from
love
you.
that. Own your essence.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I love that so much.
Isn't that nice? It's got a nice
That was
touch.
April. That was April. Yeah.
I love that
I
because
loved it though. So
It
both
was,
of you are like your own essences, and like
yeah,
it's perfect.
it's so
I
good, huh?
I love it so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
All
Well, thank you
right.
guys.
Thank
thank
you. I'm going to
you.
Take
stop
care.
here and we will
Okay.
see you later. Bye.
Bye.